Hello and welcome back to my channel where I unbox slash review slash discuss whatever you want to call it. I basically just open up toys and you guys watch it. Today I have something that potentially might be the thing I have been most excited for in the past year, figure-wise. And that is actually three figures. It is the Raw 3-pack. Holy crap, this thing's so huge it barely fits in my frame, and I've tried to make it fit. This is as good as it gets for me. Yeah, I saw this get announced and I was so freaking excited. I thought incredibly random, first of all, but how cool. You get the 123 Kid, technically the Dynamite Kid, because he becomes the 123 Kid after this match, I believe. Razor Ramon and Undertaker, the classic Undertaker, and he looks outstanding. I can't wait to open him up specifically. He's really who I wanted out of this whole pack, but these two are pretty cool. And then the Raw set, I thought those were going to be cardboard, kind of like how this right here, it's kind of cardboard. If you want it as a display, you can just pop it up like so, and it looks good for a backdrop. But it is just cardboard, paper, plastic, it's not all that great. What's in there, those Raw signs, are thick plastic signs, and they look awesome. They're going to look fantastic for a display. If you have that, the Diesel and Doink the Clown WWE Elite Scale Ring thing that came out, this would look really cool with all that. It would look absolutely amazing, I think, with the entrance ramp and all that. I know it doesn't really go together, but still. What can I say? I mean, this looks amazing. So I guess let's go over the package real quick. It's going to be a hard one to go over. You have the beautiful box right here with all the little bits and bobs. You have Undertaker, Razor, 123 Kid. Nice display of the Raw set, of course. Includes Raw entrance letters from 1995 to 1997. Elite Collection. WWE at the top. Of course, you can't see it, but it's right there. I don't recognize that logo, to be perfectly honest. And then you have all three figures right here. True FX, which is a bit debatable for retro figures like this. It can't really be True FX because that's not what they look like. But, it's close. It's better than what it used to be. On the side, you have all three of them right here. I thought this was a bit of a random mix match of characters. I think, of course, Razor and 123 Kid makes sense, but Undertaker, I know he was there on the first night, but I don't know. These three together just seemed a bit odd. But I guess, whatever. It's kind of cool. Then you have this picture on the back of all three people. Of course, they weren't all standing next to each other like this, so you have some Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good going on here and here. Undertaker doesn't have it, but these two do. A bit lazy. I feel like they could have completed his arm and made it look fine, but I digress. It's not like it's an issue, Welcome everyone to Monday Night Raw, and then, all the bits and bobs. You guys can read it for yourself. This is the 30th anniversary of Monday Night Raw this year. I believe that show is coming up fairly soon. It's going to be called Raw Triple X, even though it's going to be PG, but still, I digress. And then you have Elite Collection on this side right here. And that is pretty much it for the box. And I will go ahead and transition. And wow, this is everything you get in the package. And it is a bit overwhelming. There is so much here to go through. I can't believe this only cost $64. I mean, 20, 40, 60. That alone for each figure. But then you have all these accessories and you have the Raw set. And oh my god, this is an incredible value just on the figures alone. But then you get so much with it. Where do I start? Okay, starting with the letters, I'll just go over one because they're all pretty much the same. They look incredible. They have this nice, uh, like scratched up detail. I'm wondering how authentic this is to how it actually looked back then. You have the big R, very specky. I'm trying to find the words for it. It's almost that foam you would use in um like arts and crafts, cosplayers would use the same type of foam to like build whatever they need for their costumes. It almost looks like that's what they used for the lettering. They just put up a big, probably plywood, and then put glued foam over it and painted it red. And then, of course, those were very fragile, so you get nicks and cuts and little bits taken out of it. It almost looks like that. I imagine they did something similar, but it's nice and thick. It looks amazing. It's not as thick as it looks. Of course, it looks about, I don't know, less than a fingernail's width. And then, of course, it curves in, so it's not as thick as that. The way these work, you have these nice rubber pieces right here. This is like actual rubber. They're heavy. You just plug them into the holes like so. It doesn't really matter which one. There you go. And each one has two, and it can stand like so. It doesn't look great when it's backlit because you can see those, but you know, if you place it right, they pretty much disappear, and it looks amazing. Each one looks so incredible. Then you have the 1-2-3 Kid. Of course, the lore is that he beat Razor Ramon with a roll up and won $10,000. I believe this is reuse from the Cameron Grimes toy. He came with like 2 or 3 of these piles of money that he would hold in his hand. This comes with 4. I put the other ones in the bag. I left this one out so we could look at it. It looks great. Really nice play money. It's painted on both sides, which is great. You would only really expect one side to be painted and then the other side to just not be. But they went the extra distance, and it looks great. I'm trying to get it so you can see. There's all the details there. It's like a actual $100 bill. But yeah, looks fantastic as money. He comes with 2 fists. He comes with grabby hands and open hands, and then he comes with 2 grabby hands. Oh, where do I start? Okay. Going over the bag, I made it so that he's holding up the bag. We can let him drop it, I guess. The bag, of course, will hold the money, so you can just plop it right in. All the other money's in there already. It looks awesome. And then it's $10,000, I believe. It probably wasn't, but, you know, movie magic. Plop it right on in there. Looks great. And then you just scrunch it up so you can hold it like so. That is a great, great, great detail. I love that. I guess we'll go over him first and save him for last. Yeah. So this is the 1-2-3 Kid. I don't know if you guys know much about him, but he is basically X-Pac before X-Pac was X-Pac. And the thing that happened with him is he was like kind of like a jobber almost, just some random generic skinny guy who got the one up on Razor Ramon of all people, one of the stars of the company. And that kind of made his career. Of course, he never became a huge star, but X-Pac is one of those guys. He's well known. He's beloved. For a period, he wasn't. I didn't quite get it, but I of course wasn't alive back then. But in hindsight, I never really understood the hate. I guess I never really watched any of his matches. I thought he was okay from what I've seen, but you know, this is what he was before all that. So it's really cool to have this in figure form. This very late 80s, early 90s look. Things were just like a regular basic color and then shapes, and that's all it was. It was very, very interesting. So he was going for the lightning bolt look, I guess, with the mullet. Everybody had mullets back then. Even Razor did, Shawn did. Everyone loved a good mullet. And it looks good. The head is incredibly loose. That's one huge disappointing thing about him. It's so loose. You can push it down and it tightens up, but then it just pops up and then it gets even more loose. So, not incredibly happy about that. But everything else about the figure seems pretty decent. Like I said, for $60, I'm seeing the value here. He does have a loose head, but I'm not seeing any paint defects. Everything looks well painted, well articulated. I know sometimes with these 3-packs, they would kind of skimp on the details a little bit, make them look a little crappy. I had I'm trying to think of it. It was the WCW 4-pack that came with NWO, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash in their t-shirts. I think not Arn. Arn came in the 4 Horsemen 4-pack. Larry Zbyszko? And I'm trying to think one other guy. I wanted to say Dusty, but I don't think he was in that pack either. But basically, I had one of those 4-packs, and they were good figures, but you could tell they saved money on the paint. It just looked very off. The sculpt work was a little bit cheap. It felt like they needed to cut costs somewhere, and they did it on the figures paintwork. And on this, I'm not seeing it. I think this is pretty solid. It looks great. I'm not seeing any defects here. I guess we'll go over articulation real quick. We have to hurry up because we have so many figures to go over. The head will not really go that far back, of course, but it will go forward. Will it? Actually, maybe not. There's something off about this head. This head's like broken. It doesn't want to move. I'm not sure what the issue is. Maybe this head's just too small. It'll move, but it doesn't want to move in the ways you want it to. He kind of looks like that guy Eugene from The Walking Dead almost, just much skinnier. God, that's a really good head sculpt though. If it wasn't so loose, it would be amazing. The arms will go up to about that far. The arms are pretty tight, but of course you can always break that loose. It will rotate all the way around like so. Swivel at the bicep. I believe these are double jointed. Yes, double jointed arms will go to about that far. Of course, hinge at the wrist so it can go down. He can go up, and then he can go all the way around again. We'll put this back on. That was easy enough to take off. Will it be easy enough to put on? Yes, it will. Just get it to go over the shoulder, or over the elbow, I mean. The ab, of course, I did show it a little bit, so let's see what it looks like when I intentionally bend it. It is fine. It's okay. I guess I never looked back, but it can go back about that far. And then if you add the legs into it, that's about 90. That's pretty great, I'd say. Pretty standard, but pretty great. Of course, that means legs can go up to about that high. Looks fairly decent. You can do the splits. You can go about that far. Yep, pretty good. Swivel at the thigh. Goes all the way around. Double jointed knee. Not pinless, but double jointed nonetheless. Swivel at the boot. Goes all the way around. Looks great. Ankle will go down about that far. Maybe a little more if you force it. Yeah, a little more. Won't go up too much more, but that's fine. And then swivel, of course. And that's the 1, 2, 3 Kid, Dynamite Kid, X-Pac, whatever you want to call him. He had so many names throughout his career. It's amazing. Just a weird head. Doesn't want to sit on there very well. I don't know if that's like universal across all the packs or if it's just my guy, but that's the only issue I have with him. Moving on to Razor. Boom. This guy has a lot going for him. Starting with the head. The head looks like it could have used more paint. The head's a little weak as far as paint goes. I know he had the stubble, but I don't know. They can't really nail stubble all that well. The face looks decent. It almost looks like... I was going to say it looks like he has a toothpick, but maybe not. I guess you could draw one in there. Yeah, the stubble needs work, but everything else looks fine. The nice mullet, it looks pretty good. I like the swoop down his, on his forehead, the nice hair swoop down there. He is tall. He stands out of the frame. I guess I could move him back a bit. You have this nice metal chain. These chains are incredible looking. They look awesome. And we've had a couple of these. We had one with the MVP. We had one with, oh God, what's his name? Mr. T. We've gotten a couple of these gold chains, and they all look so good. They're very well made, and I love the paint they use on them. We have this nice Razor Ramon jacket. I love his classic Razor Ramon font, the way that looks, the paint. Wow, looks great. Black on that side, green on this side. Nice 90s green, very poppy and loud, and just those colorful colors. Looks good. You have a green elbow pad on this side and a black one on this side. And you have the razors, of course, right there. Now that I mentioned it, that's odd. Is he supposed to? Yeah. Okay, that's just how it looked, I guess. Okay. And then, of course, his trunks with the Razor logo. And then the razors on the back. Looking at it from the outside in, I was worried about these knee pads. First of all, I hate these knee pads. They're too big. But they looked like the paint wasn't the best. Now that it's out of the box, they're not bad. They look fine. I just hate these knee pads because look at that. That's like, ugh. I might swap those out. I'll try and find some green knee pads. Maybe I'll buy some paint and make my own knee pads that are not those. Or I guess I could live with black knee pads. That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I just hate that. I don't know how I'd replicate the Razor. I wouldn't be able to do that by hand, but I hate these knee pads. These are the worst. Do not want them. Then you have the boots, laced up boots. I love this style of boot. We've seen it on a dozen figures lately. Pretty much every retro figure has these type of boots now. Still looks good. Then you have the thumbs up because I'm the guy. Hey, Chico, I'm the guy. Huh? You have those. You have these hands. Of course, we've seen them all before on different figures and these hands. I didn't want to go over them because we've seen them before. Same with these. These are just fist hands. You guys know what those look like. All this is making me want is just the Diesel to go along with him and the Shawn Michaels I got earlier. I'll go ahead and pull them out just to have them side by side. The Shawn looks great with all these other figures. I love this. We need a classic ring, I guess. We have the 97 to like 2000 style ring, but we need one for the old school figures too, you know? But yeah, this looks pretty great. I guess we'll take off the vest so you can see his articulation a little bit better. Let's see. It's always so annoying to take off the clothing. Oh my god, please. That's why people don't like the rubber vests. And the chain can come off as well. Here, there we go. Okay. And there's a closer look at the chain. Oh wow, it even has a razor. So this is custom just for him. That looks great. Focus on the chain, please. That looks incredible. Going over the figure itself. Wow, he has a lot of chest hair. The articulation. He also has a bit of a loose head. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know. That arm just doesn't want to go down. Oh god. Okay. Well, anyways, the head can go up to about, not at all, of course. The hair gets in the way. It can go down to about right there. It's another loose head. That's disappointing. I feel like the balls may be a little bit too small. That might be easy enough to replace or fix, but I don't know. I'm just having issues with it. Arm will rotate all the way around. It has a swivel at the bicep, goes all the way around like so. This, of course, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be, but just to prove it, it is, in fact, double jointed. Looks great. This might be our first double jointed Razor Ramon ever. I don't know how many Razors we've had. I know we're getting the Ultimate Edition here soon, but I don't think we've had a double jointed Razor period. I think the last Razor we got, what was it? The Outsiders one with the cool Outsiders vest. That one was pretty old, so maybe not. I don't know. Surely we've had a double jointed Razor before. I don't know. I can't think of one. Anyways, and then the arm, it's super tight. I'm worried about breaking it, but there we go. I busted it loose. It can go up to about that far. So that's pretty decent. And down she goes. Like so. Ab crunch looks a bit like it can go that far back and it can go that far forward. That's pretty fantastic. Bending the legs. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. That's not quite 90, but it's close enough. Maybe it is 90. Maybe I'm dumb. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty great. Which means the legs can go up to about that high. That's a pretty decent big boot if you wanted to. Of course, they can split very far. Then we get to the knee pads, which inhibit it from going much further than that, which sucks, but I'm sure it could come up to about maybe like there without those. I don't know. Swivel at the upper thigh and of the upper calf, I guess. The ankle will go down to about that far, and it will go up to about that far, and it will swivel like so. Pretty good. Pretty good, you know? Let's see. Set him back over there. And now we get to the Undertaker. Now, the first figure I've ever had of the Elite line was the Chick Magnet Miz, which was a long time ago, and I still have that figure. It's really beat up, but I still have it. I still have most of my Elites. I don't really get rid of them unless they break. But then after that, I waited a few years because, of course, I wasn't as into toys as a kid as most kids. I actually was just into video games for most of my life and got into toys a little bit later on. So I'd say a few, maybe 3-4 years later, I finally got my next Elite, which was Undertaker, but he was in his classic attire with the purple boots and tie. So this is kind of like that one. That one broke, the leg broke, and I've been looking for something to replace it ever since. And this is the closest I've ever gotten to that, and I am so excited. This is the main reason I wanted this entire set. I mean, everything else about it is incredible. The Raw sign, the other two figures, awesome. But this, I'm ecstatic to have this guy in my collection because it's not the same as the first one I had, but it embodies what that figure was, and it improves upon it in every way, from the jacket to the hat to the articulation. It's just incredible to have this. I don't want to say back in my collection, but to have him again, I guess. So I guess we'll start with his look, starting with his hat. Of course, you can take it off and it looks great. This is a hat that's been used billions of times and it still looks good. Love that hat. Unfortunately, the longer you own it, the more warped it gets, but pristine out of the box, looks great. Try and preserve it for as long as I can. This head sculpt is just to die for. I mean, Look at that hair. Look at that face. They really nailed it with that head sculpt. I'm going to pop it off real quick so we can get the tie off. God, this tie was so annoying to get on in the old Undertaker because you couldn't do that. You had to stretch it out and bring it around, and it just ruined the whole tie just doing it so many times because as a kid, you do that a lot, and it just kind of destroyed the whole thing. This one, of course, you can take the head off, so it's not as bad on the tie. It's just a pretty basic silver tie, if it'll focus. It doesn't want to, but pretty basic silver tie. It looks great. Love to have it. I'll set it right over there. That brings us to this amazing jacket. It's very loud if you rub your fingers over it. Very loud, but it looks amazing. This looks so cool. I love the way this looks. It does have a little flap there, but of course that can be, you know, if you work with it, you can bend that back into shape. Wow, this looks great. All right, God, he looks like a monster. I guess I'll take off the hands first so I can get it off a little bit easier. I don't want to lose the wrist cuffs, of course. I love. Oh my god, it looks so great. This is what I love about fabric, cloth goods. They're significantly easier to take off. Easier, not the easiest. They're still a bit of a pain, but they'll come off eventually. There, now it's off. That's what it looks like. It looks great. This is perfect for The Undertaker. I'll set that over there. Wow. Okay. I am noticing something that's a little disappointing, but we'll go over that when we get to it. I'll put the hands back on. There we go. Wow, he is so big, he barely fits in frame. This is kind of difficult to pull off, honestly. Here, Razor, kind of stealing the focus. There we go. And this is The Undertaker without his jacket, of course, and he looks like a beast. Look at that head sculpt. It looks so cool. This is a very unique head sculpt. Everything about this whole set's been unique. You have the gloves, of course. They look amazing. These big, huge gloves that look menacing and mean. You have the tattoos. Double jointed. Looks great. The way his shirt, it's like he ripped off his nice shirt because, I don't know, he was uncomfortable with having long sleeves. It looks so cool. I don't love this, it's like a separated piece. It's like it didn't connect all the way before they put it on. Here, I'll get that out of the way so you can see a bit better. It's like a huge gouge. I don't love that. You can see it goes away over there. The seam's a lot better, but as you go further in, the seam just gets worse. It's on the back too, a little bit. It's not that bad, of course, but it's just a little annoying. The legs are fine. I'm noticing it needs a fig bath. It's very tight, and I don't want to break it, so I guess we'll ignore it. These boots, I love this detail about the Undertaker. Back then, I don't get it, but I love the way it looks. It's like an old cowboy. I don't know what it is, but it just looks so cool. And it looks like if you really wanted to, I wouldn't say you should, but if you hated that look, I think you can cut it off. My voice isn't working. I need some water. I think you could cut it off if you wanted to, because I believe this is a separate piece. But I don't really know. As far as the articulation goes, this is a little bit less loose than the other two heads, but it's still more loose than I would like. All that's pretty standard. It can go left and right, swivel, spin all the way around. It can go forward like so, just a little bit, back like so, just a little bit. He doesn't fit in the frame, so I have to hold him at a weird angle, so excuse me for that. This one's much better than the other two, but it's still loose, but it's fine. The arms, of course, can come up to about, oh my god, it's so tight. Oh, okay, don't worry, we got her. Whew. If this broke, oh my god, I'd be heartbroken. Okay, whale. It can go up to about that high. It can come up to about that high, go back down. Oh my god, it's so tight. It can rotate all the way around, swivel at the bicep. Double jointed, pinless, of course. Looks amazing. The tattoos, the details, looks fantastic. I love it. Both arms, wow. As far as ab crunch goes, he can go back about that far. Move the arm out of the way. You can go forward about that far. If we add the legs into it, the legs, they're too tight. And I don't want to break them. Let me give him a fig bath. I'll be right back. Okay, I've cracked him loose a little bit, so now he can move around a bit more. A bit better. So, with the ab crunch, you can go down to about right there. And then if you add the legs to it, I mean, what can I say? That's pretty fantastic, especially for a figure like The Undertaker, who's usually not one to bend quite that well. This is pretty great, which means the legs, of course, can come up to about that high. He's doing a great big boot, snake eyes, something like that. And then, of course, that means they can split. Fine. He's a big figure, so that's about head height for some. So, pretty decent. And then, of course, you have the double jointed knees to go about like that. And then the ankles, which will come down to probably a little more than that, but I don't want to force it. And then, of course, it can come up to about that high, that's the best out of all these guys. And then, of course, a little bit of a swivel, like so. And that's about it for the figure. I mean, what can I say? For $60, it is expensive, but you get an amazing value out of all of these figures. I mean, you have one of the best Undertakers we've gotten, period. 1-2-3 Kid, Razor Ramon, a raw display, a raw set. He's kind of standing weird. Like a whole raw set, a ton of accessories. This is one of the best values I've seen for not only toys, but wrestling toys, period. This is outstanding. I'm so happy, despite the flaws. I mean, the heads are loose on all of them. He's not so bad, it just pops off easily. He's the worst. He's in the middle. Despite those issues, I still think you're getting an amazing value here. These figures are insane. I mean, they're so good. Look at the body, the paintwork, the logos, the hands, the arms, everything about this figure alone is great. And you got it doubled for all three of them. They all have the same quality. They all look great. They all feel great. The only issue I have with any of them is their necks. So I'm honestly amazed by this set. This is an incredible value, which is something that's been increasingly difficult to come by as a toy collector, especially for Marvel Legends and these wrestling figures. They're coming with less and less accessories. It's getting harder and harder to get your money's worth out of some of these things, and I think with this, you're getting so much out of this. This is probably going to be one of the last few great sets we get for quite a while. I'm amazed they were able to pull this off now. Like, you don't see this ever. So pretty cool to see. Makes me excited for the future of Mattel. So Now I'm worried. Yeah, Mattel. Mattel has never really let me down. They're usually pretty great, so I'm happy to just continue being impressed by what they deliver. I just I only hope they can keep it up. So I guess that's it. I'm just so happy with how this went. That's rare with toy collecting to be this amazed by what you're receiving. As my dog wakes herself up and shakes and makes a lot of noise, I will go ahead and end this video right about here. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think of this down in the comments below. Leave a like, subscribe, a comment, all the stuff other YouTubers ask you to do. Just do it for me as well. And I will be back with another video, hopefully very, very soon. Bye.